Hello, this is Dan Ferrisi, Editor-in-Chief with Commercial Integrator, working in partnership with the HDBaseT Alliance for some post-InfoComm conversations. We're really excited to be joined today by Todd Cota, who is President and Partner with Go Simply Connect, as well as Blake Talley, who is VP and Partner with Go Simply Connect. After a really busy and successful InfoComm show, we're looking forward to connecting with them both. Todd, Blake, thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, thank you, Dan, for having us. Yeah, to your point, InfoComm was a little bit overwhelming at our space for sure. And we had dual roles. We had a termination challenge that we conducted inside the HDBaseT booth, where customers could come in and try our connectors and tooling with partners of cables and testing gear. So it was a skills challenge, so to speak, to where they could assemble the connectors. And it was a time challenge. And after they did that, they would test the cable into the tester to verify that everything went well. And we had a lot of praises for the way the connectors assembled and how easily it was to terminate the cables. And so it was a lot of fun to conduct that challenge at the HDBaseT booth for sure. And I think there was, I don't really know the exact number, but I know for them participating, they were able to get, prizes and other valuable things that, go along with their participation.
It sure was a lot of fun. I spent a lot of time myself at the HDBaseT Alliance booth, and it seemed like the Master Cable Terminator Challenge was getting a lot of attention. Just a fantastic idea for a show like InfoComm. Do either of you have any thoughts about what installers might need to know about the quote-unquote perfect termination? I'm not sure if there's such a thing as a perfect termination, but to the extent that there is, what should people know about that?
Well, I'll say this. Anytime you cut a piece of cable and put a connector into that line of your cabling and your install, you're always creating a weak link, right? So you want to minimize and try to really ensure that you're using some of the highest quality products that's available in the market today. And Simply 45 has been able to achieve that with a lot of our features and benefits that we add into our value adds into our connector. We like to say this, you can build the best train in the world, but if the train tracks aren't set up properly, that train is not going to really move very well. So it has a lot of that analogy is very much in play with connectivity. And it's really taken for granted in a lot of the installs that people use today because the technology that is being installed today, the bandwidth requirements are needed and the efficiency is definitely needed to be there. And it's got to be able to pass certain requirements like, wattages and power ratings. And so we've been able to re-engineer our connector platforms to achieve all these things. So a lot of the advantage, and we try to simplify it as well with, using one tool solutions and things like that to really minimize frustrations out in the field as the installers always remind us, keep it simple. And we do that as well.
Yeah, I think I would add to that, not all connectors are created equal. And I think a lot of people come into booths like ours, into HDBaseT, and they see this technology and they're shocked at how much R&D actually goes into each of these little ice cubes, right? And like Todd said, the performance that, companies like HDBaseT, especially with their Spec 3, are trying to get through these category cables is never really been done before. And so the connectors that were designed in the late 70s, 80s, 90s, even in the early 2000s were never designed for this purpose or this application. And so having a company like ours that's really focused on, head-to-head connectivity and is taking the time and the effort and the energy to really do the R&D and figure out how do we work with, this higher bandwidth devices. These cable manufacturers are constantly pushing the envelope in terms of what they say the performance of their cable can do. Very few of them historically had gotten together with companies like ours and said, hey, here's what we're designing for this cable. Would it be possible to achieve this using one of your connectors? And, Todd and I, over the last 4 years, have really worked hard to develop relationships with cable manufacturers so that we get the inside scoop, right? Like Page Electric would be one with the Game Changer, so that we can kind of be on the forefront of this technology and hopefully give the customers, a surefire way to achieve that, result that they're looking for, right?
Absolutely. And it seems like you have absolutely found that surefire way to appeal to customers, to deliver to customers. Hearing a whole lot about Cap 45 and its importance. That's something I'm just hearing all the time. Want to talk a little bit about that in specific?
Yeah, I think that's a perfect example of kind of how we're leading the way in this technology because, traditionally, like I said, these RJ45s, especially pass-through connectors that were developed in the late 90s, were not developed for PoE. Like this technology was not something that was even thought of or even being used at that time. And so as these new technologies have come online, you're going to have issues, right? It's not a one-stop shop for every type of new technology, right? But RJ45s have become critical to so much of our infrastructure as a way to not only transmit data, but also transmit power, right? So some of the failures that, we had regarding, electrical shorting issues in RJ45s could be because of contact designs. It could be because the exposed copper at the front of the connector, especially when you use a tool that does not trim well or the blade is dull. But having that copper there exposed at the end, creates an electrical arcing hazard, right? And so, especially when you're doing stuff like HDBaseT 3 with 90 watts, et cetera. So having that little bit of protection and that patent that we developed called the Cap 45, closes off the front of that connector. And, we like to say that it gives you all the benefits of the pass-through, right? You get to minimize your amount of untwist. You can check your TIA standard. You can make sure that you wired the connector correctly. And then when you terminate it, you put that cap on there, and therefore you have all the security of a standard mod plug because essentially it's a hybrid design, right? You have a pass-through to start, and when you're done with the termination, it's a standard mod plug again, right? So you get all the benefits of that. So, I think as technology continues to increase, we're going to continue to try to innovate, and continue to really help, integrators, with the demands that they have out there in the networking world.
So as we begin to button up the interview, one thing I don't want to let pass is the enthusiasm people have for the Simply 45 brand, the culture of the Simply 45 brand, how loyal people are to it. Can you give us any insight into where that fidelity to Simply 45 comes from?
Well, I think it's a lot of what Blake alluded to earlier, the way we have re-engineered the designs to work with the technology used today. So one of the things that we like to always use is that we like to help eliminate and reduce truck rollbacks. And, this is a common occurrence that happens with other technologies. And, so we want to minimize and reduce that as much as possible because time is money. And just the confidence level that the integrators have with installing our products is at a high level. And so that has been primarily the stuff works and it prevents problems and rollbacks. So that has definitely been one of our key strengths, as well as all the unique features of color tinting to help minimize mismatching components and things like that. So our packaging reinforces this, with the other technologies where it goes into patch panels and keystones and other technologies that we're also offering. We reinforce that whole color infrastructure strategy. And it's just a brand consistency. I think when we launch new products, we try to do a lot of unique things that really make us stand out in the market. And we listen to doing trade shows like at InfoComm, we get a lot of feedback from integrators of what they like to see products do. And we take that to heart, and we design a lot of our technology with them in mind. We want to streamline the installation processes and make it easy, always having the right product at the right time. And that's how we do it.
Yeah, I'd also like to add just to that I think, I hope that, the passion that, Todd and I have for this industry and, for creating these types of products and connectors comes through in everything that we do and in every interaction we have with customers. And, I'd like to think that some of the following we have is because we're easy to do business with. People can tell that, we're not in this, we're in this because we love doing it. And, I think when people see that, they also love it, right? Because everyone wants to be associated with, things that they enjoy. So, yes, Todd is absolutely right about all of that. But I think there's also another underlining component with just us, loving what we do and, trying to make everyone's life easier every day, right?
No question about it. Really, really appreciate it, Todd. Appreciate it, Blake. Thank you for providing some insight into what makes you special, why you had such a really strong InfoComm show. And of course, you're a part of your participation with the HDBaseT Alliance. Thank you again for taking time to chat with me. Really, really appreciate the conversation.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you, Dan.
Yeah, thank you.
So happy to have been joined by Todd Cota, who is president and partner with Go Simply Connect, as well as Blake Talley, who is VP and partner with Go Simply Connect. My name is Dan Ferrisi, editor-in-chief with Commercial Integrator, working in partnership with the HDBaseT Alliance for some post-InfoComm interviews with recognized industry thought leaders, people just like Todd and Blake. Thank you very much.
Thank you.